I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and honestly, I just want to get this out because I don't really have anyone else to talk to, and maybe someone who's been through something similar can tell me what the hell I should do. My wife, Lisa, and I have been together for about 5 years. We met in college, and everything seemed fine, good even. She was the kind of girl who knew how to keep people guessing. She's smart, pretty, and she knew how to turn on the charm. But over the last few months, I started noticing little things. She'd be on her phone more than usual, quick to snap at me if I asked about her day, and she suddenly had this new attitude, bitchy, dismissive, like she was annoyed just talking to me. I figured maybe she was stressed, work, been hectic for her, or maybe she just needed space. But then came the signs I really should have paid attention to. She started canceling plans last minute, saying she was working late when I knew she was. Her phone was always shielded, locked tight, and she'd get awkward whenever I tried to peek at it. I tried to brush it off. I thought maybe she was just tired or she was hiding something minor. Then 2 nights ago, I got a text from her that made my stomach drop. It was her boss saying she'd be working late again. I didn't want to believe it, but I knew something was off. The lady's never been one to stay late at the office for no reason. That night, I stayed up, waiting for her to come home, feeling annoying suspicion. When she finally walked in around 2 a.m., she was wearing that same smirk she's had lately, like she knew she was getting away with something. I didn't say anything at first, just watched her with this mix of confusion and growing anger. The next morning, I decided I'd had enough. I was going to confront her about everything. I mean, I'd been giving her the benefit of the doubt, but I knew in my gut she was hiding something. I wanted to hear it from her, hear her lie, or better yet, admit what she was doing. I didn't want to believe she'd cheat. On me, not after all we'd been through, but all the signs pointed to it. And if I was honest with myself, I'd been feeling more distant from her lately, like we were living parallel lives, not a partnership. That morning, I woke up early to catch her off guard. I wanted to see her reaction when she realized I knew she'd lied about working late. I started going through her things, trying to find something, anything, that would give me a clue. At first, I didn't find anything. Then hidden in her purse, I saw a receipt from a hotel downtown, just a small slip-up maybe, but enough to set me on fire. I felt my fists clench. I knew she was planning to lie again. I confronted her that afternoon face to face. I was ready. I said, "Lisa, I saw the receipt. Who were you with last night? Don't lie to me." Her face instantly hardened, that bitchy edge coming out. She looked at me like I was crazy, then rolled her eyes, dismissing me with a laugh. "Oh, come on, Jake. It's not what you think. I was just working late, okay, that's all." But her voice was shaky, and I knew she was lying. I pressed her harder, but she just kept spinning her usual bullshit. "You don't trust me, really? You're acting crazy. I don't have time for your paranoia," she snapped. I wasn't buying it anymore. I saw the way her eyes darted around, the way she refused to meet my gaze. It was obvious she'd been caught and she didn't care. That's when I felt my blood boil. This wasn't just about her lying. It was about her betraying me, breaking the vows we made. I felt a mix of shock and fury. How could she do this to me, especially now? I've been honest with her about my father's health, something I needed her support on, and she's out there screwing someone else. I wanted to scream, to shake her and demand answers, but I just stood there trying to keep my composure. That's when she finally looked at me with a smirk and said, "You're overreacting. Maybe you're the one who's been distant. Like that shit matters now." She was trying to gaslight me, make me doubt what I saw, what I knew was real. I knew then I couldn't stay silent anymore. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. Something had to give, and I was about to find out how deep this rabbit hole really went. The fallout hit me harder than I expected. After that confrontation, I felt like I was walking around in a fog. My mind kept replaying her words, her dismissive tone, the way she looked at me like I was a bother. I kept asking myself, how the hell did I miss all these signs? How did she manage to keep lying to my face for so long? It's like I was blind and now everything was crashing down all at once. I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. I knew I had to dig deeper, find any more evidence, or maybe just get some clarity. So I started paying closer attention to her. Her phone, her schedule, her tone when she spoke to me. It was like a switch flipped. I started noticing more inconsistencies, more little lies. She'd say she was going to the grocery store, but I'd see her sneaking out the back door after I went to bed. Or her phone would ping with messages and she'd quickly hide it. And the worst part, I felt like I was losing her piece by piece, even before I caught her in the act. One night I stayed up late again just to see what she'd do. Sure enough, around midnight I saw her slip out of bed and quietly grab her phone. I followed her into the living room, pretending to be asleep. That's when I saw her typing something, probably texting that guy, whoever it was. My stomach clenched tight. I couldn't see her screen, but I knew she was hiding something. The way she was acting, fidgeting, acting nervous, I knew it wasn't just work. It was something else, something she didn't want me to see. The next day I decided I had enough of waiting. I wanted the truth straight from her mouth. It was time for the big showdown. I called her into the living room when she got home from her work late. I told her I knew she'd been lying, that I had proof of her affair. Her face twisted into that bitchy sneer, and she rolled her eyes like I was the crazy one. "Jake, I told you I've been busy with work. You're paranoid," she snapped, but I wasn't buying her act anymore. I laid out the receipt from the hotel, the secret texts, the sneaking out at night. And her reaction, she snapped. "You're really going to accuse me of cheating after everything? Maybe if you weren't so damn distant, I wouldn't need to find comfort elsewhere," she spat. Those words hit me like a punch in the gut. How dare she turn this around on me? I'd been honest, I'd tried to trust her, and she's out there screwing around with her best friend's brother. The guy I always thought was just her best friend's brother, not some damn lover. She denied everything at first, but I could see it in her eyes. She knew she was caught. Her lies were flimsy, her excuses weak. She started crying, but not because she felt guilty, because she knew she'd been cornered. She kept insisting she was tired, stressed, that it just happened, and I was supposed to buy her bullshit. The way she looked at me, with that bitchy smirk still lingering, made me realize she didn't respect me, not anymore. She thought she could lie her way out of it, like I was supposed to just accept her cheating on me and move on, no questions asked. I was so angry I could barely speak. I felt betrayed, humiliated, like I'd been made a fool of for months. How long had she been doing this? Did she think I wouldn't find out? Did she think I was a fool? I wanted to scream, to shake her, to tell her how much she'd hurt me. But instead, I just stared at her, trying to process what was happening. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted with everything, was cheating on me with her best friend's brother. And it wasn't just about the sex. It was about the lies, the betrayal, the way she used me. All those nights of her saying she was working late, all the moments I thought she was just stressed, she was out screwing someone else. Her bitchy attitude, her constant dismissiveness, it all made sense now. She'd been sneaking around behind my back, and I'd been too blind or too scared to see it. That's when I made my decision. I knew I couldn't stay in this marriage, not after what I found out. I wasn't going to be someone's fool anymore. It was time to get out, to cut my losses and rebuild. But honestly, right now I was just filled with a mix of heartbreak and rage. I felt empty, lost, like I'd been punched in the gut and left to pick myself up. I didn't know what was worse, the fact that she'd cheated, or the realization that I'd trusted her all this time, only to be utterly betrayed. After that explosion of confrontation, I basically shut down for a few days. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and I kept replaying everything in my head. Her sneaky texts, her bitchy smirk, the way she lied with such ease. It was like I'd been slapped in the face with the truth, and I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. I kept asking myself, how did I miss all the signs? How did I not see it coming? And honestly, I felt humiliated. I had trusted her, shared my deepest fears about my dad's health, something I needed her support on, and she was out there banging her best friend's brother like I was nothing. The worst part, I was furious, yet deeply hurt. I mean, I knew I should be angry, but there was this gnawing pain that wouldn't go away. Every time I thought about her with that guy, Ryan, I think his name was, I'd get this sick feeling in my stomach. They'd been doing this for who knows how long, right under my nose. All those nights she said she was working late, she was with him. It made me feel so stupid, so betrayed, like I'd been played for a fool. I kept asking myself if I ever really knew her, if all those years we'd shared meant nothing. I tried talking to her again just to get some kind of explanation, some way to make sense of it all. But she was being a bitch about it, shutting me down, throwing more lies at me. She kept insisting she was only venting at first, that she didn't mean for it to go this far. Yeah, right. She was so damn good at lying I almost believed her for a second. But then I remembered the hotel receipt, the secret texts, the sneaking out late, and it all came rushing back. I decided enough was enough. I told her to pack her shit and get out. I wasn't going to let her stay and keep playing the victim while she fucked around behind my back. She started crying again, acting like I was heartless. Oh, she's good at that, making herself the victim, acting all innocent and hurt. But I wasn't buying it. I told her I was done, that I didn't want her in my life anymore, not after what she did. She kept pleading, saying she loved me and it was a mistake, but at that point I didn't want to hear her lies anymore. I just wanted her gone. The separation was messy. She left that night slamming the door, throwing out some bullshit about how she'd change, how she'd fix this. I knew she wouldn't. I could see the bitchy attitude still lurking behind her eyes. I felt a strange mix of relief, anger, and sadness. Part of me wanted to break down, wanted to call her, ask her why, beg her to stay. But I knew that would just be giving her power. This was over. She'd betrayed me in the worst way possible, and I couldn't undo it. In the days that followed, I started sorting through everything. I changed the locks, packed up some of her stuff, and told her to stay away. I didn't want to see her or hear her voice for a long time. My mind kept circling back to that moment when I found out how surreal it all felt. The trust I'd built with her shattered in an instant. It was like the ground had crumbled beneath me and I was left trying to figure out how to stand again. But through all that chaos, something became clear. I wasn't going to be a fool again. Never again. I had to rebuild my life piece by piece. I started leaning on my friends, talking more about what happened, even though it was painful. The hardest part was accepting that the woman I loved, the woman I thought was my partner, had been lying and cheating right under my nose. I kept asking myself if I could ever forgive her, or if I even wanted to. Somewhere deep down, I knew I'd need time to heal, but the trust, that was gone for good. What I learned from all this is that sometimes you don't see the signs until it's too late. People can hide their true selves behind a mask for a long time, and when betrayal hits, it hits hard. You think you're safe, but the truth is nobody's immune. I don't regret loving her, but I do regret trusting her blindly. Now I'm just trying to pick up the pieces, figure out who I am without her, and avoid falling into the same trap again. Because honestly, the biggest lesson is that if someone cheats on you once, it's unlikely they'll change. And that's a lesson I won't forget anytime soon. The days after she left felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The house was dead silent, and every room echoed with memories of a life I thought we shared. I kept telling myself I had to move on, but every time I sat alone, all I could see was her bitchy smirk, her dismissive attitude, and the way she lied so effortlessly. It was like a punch in the gut every time I remembered how she dismissed my feelings, how she'd lied about working late, knowing full well she was screwing around with Ryan. I started wondering how I missed all the signs. Was I that blind? Or was I just fixing my gaze on her, ignoring what was right in front of me? I honestly don't know. I just know I felt stupid, humiliated, and furious. I kept replaying that moment when I caught her in our bed with Ryan, her lying, her smirking like she knew she was untouchable. That feeling of betrayal was so raw I could taste it. I couldn't help but think, how did I get here? How did I go from loving this woman to feeling like a complete sucker? One of the toughest parts was trying not to let the anger consume me. I wanted to lash out, to do something crazy, but I knew that wouldn't fix anything. Instead, I started focusing on myself. I hit the gym harder, started seeing a therapist, and tried to keep busy. I couldn't afford to fall apart, at least not yet. But inside, I felt like I was breaking into a million pieces. The worst moments were at night. That's when the silence was deafening. I'd lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Her sneaky texts, her lying face, her bitchy attitude. Sometimes I'd imagine calling her just to curse her out, just to hear her voice try to honeycoat everything, but I held back. I knew she was a manipulator, a liar. I didn't want to feed her game anymore. I just wanted to forget her, forget all of it. But then came the thoughts about what to do next. Should I try to save what's left, or should I cut her out completely? Honestly, I was leaning toward cutting her out. I didn't see any way back from this betrayal. Trust, once broken like that, isn't easy to mend, and I wasn't sure I wanted to try. I'd been with her through thick and thin, and she had thrown it all away for some quick sex with her best friend's brother. How do you even come back from that? One night, I sat down and wrote out everything I was feeling: anger, sadness, betrayal, confusion. I realized that I had to accept what happened, but I also had to protect myself from letting this define me forever. I couldn't stay stuck in the past, obsessing over what she did, but I also couldn't pretend I wasn't hurt. That's what really tore me apart, the feeling that I'd been played, that I'd been stupid for trusting her. I started making plans, not just to move on physically, but mentally. I knew I needed to rebuild my confidence, my self-respect. I started reaching out to old friends, reconnecting with people I'd neglected. I even started dating again, just casual stuff, nothing serious. It was a way to remind myself I was worth more than the betrayal she'd put me through. But honestly, I still wake up some mornings feeling like a fool, like I let her use me and walk all over my heart. Looking back now, I realize I was so caught up in the idea of us, of our future, that I ignored all the warning signs. Maybe I was afraid of losing her, or maybe I just didn't want to face reality. But the truth is, I was too blind to see how she was really treating me. She didn't care. She was just out there, lying and cheating, acting like she was entitled to do whatever she wanted. And I was her fool, her idiot, thinking I could fix her or that she'd change. Now, I understand that I can't control her actions, but I can control what I do next. I've realized that letting go is better than holding onto something that's already broken beyond repair. I've learned that trust, once shattered, takes a long time to rebuild, if it's rebuildable at all. But most importantly, I've learned that I need to put myself first. Because no matter how much I loved her, I can't let someone cheat and lie their way into destroying my self-worth. That's what I'm working on now, finding a way to forgive myself, move forward, and never let anyone treat me like that again. It's funny how life throws these massive curveballs when you're least expecting them. After days of feeling numb and trying to piece myself together, I finally reached a point where I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I knew I had to make a decision, either go back into that toxic mess or cut my losses and start fresh. Honestly, I was exhausted from the emotional roller coaster, and deep down, I knew there was no way I could stay with her after everything I found out. One evening, I sat down and really thought about what I wanted. Did I want to forgive her? Did I want to try to salvage what was left? The honest answer was no. I couldn't see a future with someone who lied and cheated on me with her best friend's brother of all people. That betrayal cut too deep. I realized I had to be honest with myself. This wasn't just a mistake, it was a complete betrayal of everything we had built together. So I started planning my exit. I knew I had to be smart about it, not just leave impulsively, but do it in a way that protected me and my sanity. I packed my essentials quietly, making sure she didn't suspect a thing. I wanted her to believe I was still trying to hold things together, but the truth was I'd already made up my mind. I was done playing her game. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break down or beg for mercy. The night I told her to leave, I did it calmly but firmly. I looked her right in the eyes and said, "It's over. I want you out of my house. Don't come back." Her face twisted into that bitchy smirk again, like she thought she could manipulate her way out of this. She threw a tantrum, calling me cold, heartless, whatever she could throw at me. But I didn't care. I just wanted her gone. I was finally taking control of my life again, no matter how painful it was. Once she left, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. Relief because I was free from her manipulations, and emptiness because I'd lost the woman I still loved deep down. I kept thinking about all those nights I stayed up, trying to fix things in my head, asking myself if I could ever trust again. I knew I'd be scarred by her betrayal for a long time, but I also realized I had to take that pain and turn it into something stronger. I started focusing on myself. I enrolled in therapy again, worked on rebuilding my confidence, and made a conscious effort to surround myself with people who genuinely cared. I didn't want to be that guy who let one woman ruin him, but I also knew I had to allow myself to feel the pain, to grieve what I lost. It was a brutal process, but I knew I had to go through it if I wanted to come out the other side. Looking back, I've learned a lot about people and trust. I learned that some women are better at hiding their true colors than others, and that sometimes love isn't enough to fix a broken relationship. I also learned the importance of listening to your gut, because mine was screaming that something was wrong and I ignored it for too long. Most importantly, I learned that I deserve someone who respects me, who doesn't lie, cheat, or play games. So now I'm slowly rebuilding my life. It's not easy. Some days are still rough, and I catch myself wondering if I'll ever truly trust again. But I'm determined not to let her betrayal define me. I want to come out of this stronger, wiser, and more cautious. Because if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that I refuse to be anyone's fool again. And I hope anyone going through similar pain finds the strength to walk away before it destroys them completely. Now, looking back, I realize that betrayal cuts deep, but it also teaches you things you wouldn't learn otherwise. I've come to understand that trust is fragile, something you have to nurture and protect. Once it's gone, rebuilding is almost impossible, and trying to hold on to something that's broken only prolongs the pain. I won't pretend that I've completely healed or that I've forgotten what happened, but I've accepted that some things are beyond my control. The only thing I can do now is focus on myself and my future. I've learned that people can hide their true intentions behind a pretty face and sweet words. Lisa was the woman I loved, but she turned out to be someone I barely recognize now. She lied, cheated, and chose her own selfish needs over everything we built. That realization was brutal, but it forced me to reevaluate what I want from a relationship. I won't settle for someone who manipulates and betrays me. I deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty, things I thought I had but clearly didn't. This experience has taught me the importance of listening to my instincts. If something doesn't feel right, it probably is. I should have trusted my gut earlier, but I ignored the warning signs because I wanted to believe in her. Now I know better. I know that sometimes you have to walk away, even if it hurts like hell, because staying only prolongs the pain and makes you lose sight of who you are. I also realize that healing takes time. I've had to confront my feelings of anger, sadness, and betrayal and let them pass through me. Suppressing those feelings only made things worse. Facing them head-on was the only way I could start to move past this, and I will move past it. I have to. Because deep down, I know I'm worth more than being someone's fool. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I want to say, trust yourself. Don't ignore the signs, no matter how much you love someone. If they're lying, sneaking around, or acting different, pay attention. Because once the trust is broken, it's incredibly hard to repair. But more than that, remember that you are worthy of love and respect. Never let anyone treat you like you're less than that. Protect your heart, even if it hurts to let go. I may not have all the answers, but I do know this. Life goes on. It hurts like hell right now, but eventually the pain softens. You find strength in yourself you didn't know you had. You learn who your real friends are. And most importantly, you start to believe again that happiness is possible, even after betrayal. That's the lesson I take with me now. Trust your instincts, value yourself, and never settle for less than you deserve.